God bless everyone. So I am Regine Manais, a BEd first year student. So for this video, I will going to report my part, which is the refugees or displaced children. So first, what is refugee? So ang refugee ay ang mga tao na kung saan um, nangangailangan ng proteksyon mula sa mga international na mga bansa or mga pamahalaan dahil sa nakaambalang pagpanganib sa kanila sa kanilang bansa or sa kanilang tinutuluyan. So the United Nations or the High Commissioner for Refugees or the UNHCR defines a refugee as someone who has been forced to flee his or her country because of persecution, war, or race, religion, nationality, political opinion, or membership in a particular social group. Mga taong ito is gusto nilang tumakas sa kanilang bansa na kung saan pinipersecute sila or sinasaktan sila at yung bansa nila ay laging magulo or nagbabarilan. So the internally displaced person or the IDP is someone who has been forced to flee their home but never cross an international border. So these individuals seek safety anywhere they can find it in nearby towns, schools, settlements, internal camps, even forests and fields. So internally displaced person or the IDP is gusto ng mga taong ito na tumakas at maghanap ng matitirhan na kung saan ay safety sila tulad ng malapit sa eskwelahan or paaralan, malapit sa bayan or sa mga offices ng lugar. So the internally displaced person, which include people displaced by internal strife and natural disasters, are the largest group that the UNHCR assessed. Unlike refugees or the internally displaced person are not promoted by internal law or eligible to receive many types of aid because they are legally under the protection of their own government on the UNHCR. So internally displaced person or the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, ang mga taong ito is sila yung um, masasabi nating parang kinawawa sa lipunan. Kumbaga, sila yung madaling madapuan ng sakit at hindi nabibigyan ng pansin tulad ng pagpapagamot sa mga sakit nila. Yung they are stranger of that place. According to the most recent statistics from the United Nations, there are 21.3 million refugees and 51% are below 18 years of age. So this is the highest record so far. The refugees and the internally displaced children have something in common. So they are not in their homes, they are not secure. They are lonely and feel that they are treated unfairly. They are in a situation that does not allow them to enjoy freedom of movement and also freedom to go to school. They are often mixed with people from different cultures and beliefs. They are live in tents or desolate housing facilities that are boxed in by barbed wires or fences. So they are also in distress, they are scared, they are uncertain about what is going to happen to them, for how long, and what their future is going to be like. Um, Sila yung mga taong malungkot, kumbaga, masasabi nila sa sarili nila ay parang hindi sila tao na kung saan gusto nila makihalubilo sa kapwa nila pero hindi nila magagawa. Sila kasi yung nasa sitwasyon na kung saan wala silang wala silang kalayaan sa sarili nila, para silang nakakulong lagi. I mean, they are not they have not freedom to go to school. Like, gusto nilang mag-aral or pumasok sa paaralan, gusto nilang matuto or makihalubilo sa mga kapwa nila tao. But they can't do that because they are the people who put their heart that they are different, like they are not belong to the society. Nasa pighati sila lagi at natatakot sila sa sarili nila kung hanggang kailan ba matatapos ang pangyayaring ito, hanggang kailan nila ikukulong or ibabalot ang sarili nila. So they are thinking that kailan um, kailan kaya matatapos ang pighati o kawalan ng kalayaan sa sarili at buhay nila, at kung ano ang maging kinabukasan nila. So what will be the future is if lagi nilang kinukulong sarili nila sa takot. So the present situation of these children is complicated and there are no answer to this problem. Yet, however, other questions are arresting who or what citizens of their country, or will they be the next group of terrorists who will be a burden and threat to the world. So the concern over what will become to these children should be enough to make us take a serious look at how we can make education work for them. The Declaration of Human Rights and the Convention of Child's Rights emphasize that education is the right of every person, every child. So this means that education policies are in place. The 2030 United Nations Agenda for Sustainable Development considers education as essential to the advancement of humankind. So it is clearly stated that United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 4, which calls for ensuring inclusive and quality education for all and promoting lifelong learning. So patas, pantay-pantay. Including persons with disabilities, indigenous people, and children in vulnerable situations. But despite all this, in the settlement areas or place, these children are confined to food and shelter, are given priority over education. And aside from the lack of resources, there are other complications that are hindrances to the quality of education given to these children. So kasama nito ang may mga kapansanan, mga katutubong mamamayan at mga may sugat o sugatan. So sa pagpapatira sa isang lugar, they are the priority, tulad ng sa pagbigay ng pagkain, sa pagbigay ng mga damit, at pagpapaaral nila. So hindi lang sa kawalan ng pera or walang pera ang mga magulang, that you can call that is the hindrance of them. But there are some stories behind the children. May mga problema sila sa mga sarili nila, hindi lang kakulangan ng suporta sa magulang, like financial needs, but they themselves knows, parang nilulok down nila yung sarili nila na hindi nila kaya na mag-aral. So aside from the lack of sources, there are other complications that are hindrances to the quality of education given to these children. So first one is the countries that host them are unable to protect refugee rights to education simply because they themselves have this distinct system of education and vulnerable government and economic institutions. So may may mga bansa na kumbaga kulang sila ng mga materyales, wala silang paaralan, wala silang magagamit sa mga bata, walang mga kagamitan sa pag-aaral, and they don't have teachers over there, they don't have buildings, schools. So the second one is because of the length of time refugees and displaced children are in resettlement and refugee areas, educational resources given to them do not allow for quality education shifts to accommodate children. So over the teachers and shorten learning time. The third one is the language and the lack of materials is also a concern. So ayun na nga, yung wala silang kagamitan, wala silang paaralan, yung mga bata or mga estudyante is they don't have things like mga bags, uniform, notebook, ballpen, etc. of uh, sa pag-aaral. So the fourth one is the children who have been exposed to war and violence demonstrate signs of psychosocial problems that are not addressed. So, children in conflict zones, which is, ito yung mga bata or hindi magkakasundo. So, children living in conflict zones around the world have continued to suffer through extreme levels of violence over the past 12 months, and the world has continued to follow them. For too long, parties to conflict have been committing atrocities with near total impunity, and it is only getting worse. So, Fountain, director of emergency program, said children living in conflict zones around the world have continued to suffer through extreme levels of violence over the past 12 months. And the world has continued to follow them for too long. Parties the conflict have been committing atrocities with near total impunity, and it is only getting worse. So, to protect and assist children, it is said that children in countries that are at war are being used as human shields, skilled, maimed, and recruited to fight, rape, force, marriage, and abduction have become standard tactics in conflicts from Syria to Yemen. So, and from the Democratic Republic of the Congo to Nigeria, the South Sudan, and Myanmar, to the UNICEF press release into 2018. So the children have rights recorded to them by law, by the Convention on Child's Rights, but it is not utter disrespect and disregard for these rights that is brought about by the unresponsiveness of governments and even at times conven- convenience with the preparation that is causing the children harm. So it is also sad to note that other countries are not helpful in solving this problem. So human rights violation against children known as the sixth grave violation. So this violation include the killing and mining of children, the abduction of children, the recruitment or use of children as soldiers, sexual violence against children, attacks against schools or hospitals, and the denial of humanitarian access. So the Firat 4 are direct acts of violence against children, and the last two are indirect action that cause harm to children, and directly I mean relate to health care and health workers. So caught in conflict zones is still increasing, and many are being deliberately targeted. So the way wars are being fought in this present day demonstrates a total disregard for children and schools. So children are constantly getting killed and or hurt, lost their parents, family, have very poor health and mental state, are under toxic stress. This causes both physical and psychological trauma that will have during effects. So condemn, and if they get pregnant, their unborn children are unwanted and stigmatized. Being a child shoulders makes them lose their identity and exposes them to conditions that will have a long-lasting effect on their mental health. So there are countless effects of armed conflict on children who are very vulnerable and unable to protect themselves. The effect on the children's education is that enrollment is going down. A lot of children are dropping out of school. School conditions are bad. There are low levels of educational attainment, and abuse is committed on Kader et al. 2018. So I think that would be all. Thank you and God bless us all.